Hello everyone and welcome back to TheSkirtRider. So in today's video we're going to be going through all of my patterns from the last fair that I just attended and talking you guys through how I felt Goose and I performed and what we'd like to improve on. Unfortunately we didn't have a ton of time to prepare for this fair, so some of our rides weren't our best rides, but I was super grateful for how everything went and so thankful that I got to glorify God in my riding and my time with Goose. So I know I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a break from posting during my school year over the past couple of months. While I've been a junior in high school, it has been my busiest year. And now that I'm on summer, I'm wanting to be able to post a little bit more. And going into my senior year of high school, I'll be able to, as well as I have a lighter class load. So I'm really excited to get to continue to bring you guys on Goose and I's journey and just have fun with it. For some of our overall awards, this was the trail award that I won for getting high score in trail. And then in 4-H, there are 3 age divisions: junior, intermediate, and senior. And within those divisions, there are smaller little caveats like novice or walk trot. So for me, I was a senior division member. I am in my second to last year being a senior. So for that, I won High Point. So this is the buckle that I won. It has cute little turquoise jewels on it, and it's got a rider in an English saddle on the front. So it's super cute and I really like it. I love that it's a fun color and it has the traditional turquoise western vibes to it. Here is our Hunt Seat Equitation round. And this pattern was on our very first day and he really was excited. He had a lot of pent-up energy, and so this was not our best pattern, but it was a good learning experience for both of us. So we start on a sitting trot, move into a posting trot circle to the right, pick up a right lead, and we're having a lot of trouble picking up our right lead. So we get back into it and we're supposed to do a hand gallop through here, but he had a lot of energy he was bringing upward and not using it to behave, so we had to work through that. We did a simple change to our left lead. I really worked on just being consistent with my cues and not getting worked up over it. Sometimes things just don't go the way we want it to, and that's okay. That's part of riding. It's what horses teach you. We moved down into a walk. I believe it was an extended working walk. As you can see, he's definitely excited and he had a lot more energy than he should have. And then we halted at the end and we we picked our reins back up and we completed a backup, which he did very nicely and acknowledged. This is our Western Horsemanship go, where we scored the top out of all of our competitors. So we start off at the cone on an extended trot. My reins were a tad long. And then we extend past the cone and halt. That was a really solid and balanced halt. I was happy with that. We move into a left 270 haunch turn. He picked up his pivot foot a little at the start, but the rest of the haunch turn was pretty good. Pick up a left lead for about 2 strides, so it's a counter canter. Then we simple change to the right lead. I got my change just a little bit late, but we move into a slow, small lope circle and then canter past the 3rd cone. We drifted a little bit to the right, but we got back on our center and halted. Then we completed a 1 1/4 haunch turn to the right. So this haunch turn was definitely one of our sloppier haunch turns, but he still remained forward. Then we move into a jog down the long side, and we jog all the way to our 4th cone. We had a really nice rhythm and pace here. I was really happy with how it looked. We move into a halt, and then be back. He got a little swervy with his behind, but we figured it out and he did a smooth, calm back, and then we acknowledged. This is our Western Horsemanship Championship round where we received a medallion. So we start off with backing 10 10 steps. So we're kind of backing into the line. Then we move into a regular jog to the middle. This was a really nice strong jog, and I wanted to make my extension really exaggerated, which I feel like we did well. So we extended from the middle to the end of the arena and halted. Then we moved into a left haunch turn. So I was waiting for him to settle really well. So we moved into a 1 1/4 left haunch turn. This was really good. I was really proud of him for this haunch turn. We stopped straight to the wall, picked up a left lead, and we moved into a serpentine where we changed leads 3 times. So because of the fast pace of this pattern, I chose to do simple lead changes, and I was really happy with each of our simples, and I tried to make sure that our simple lead change was exactly in the middle of the arena each time, and that had approximately the same amount of trot steps. So we finished our final lead change, and he kind of wanted to drift back to the line a little bit, so I fixed that and halted. And then I acknowledged my judges. This was our showmanship class where we received the top score and placed first. This is the class I was most proud of because it is the one we have progressed the farthest in, and the one that's been the most difficult for both of us. So we started at a walk and moved up into a trot right at the cone. And I was making sure to be very, very careful, very, very correct. So most of this pattern is slow and it's not as sharp and snappy as I would have liked it to be, but I was trying to make sure that everything was very accurate and very precise. So we move into our haunch turn to the right, so I'm on the near side. And he did a very correct haunch turn. Then we walk to the judge and halt. And I'm asking him to set here, which he does really nicely. I pull his right front forward. I signal to the judge that I'm ready to be quartered. I make sure to have a smile on my face and to follow the judge with my eyes. Once I get back to the near side, I'll acknowledge her and move into my backup. This was one of my favorite backups that we've done. It was a little slower, but it was very correct and very accurate. Next, I'll move into another near side haunch turn, just a 90-degree. And he set himself up there, and so I acknowledged and trotted off. This is our showmanship medallion round where we received a medallion, and we will start off at a trot and halt at the 3rd cone. We have a very long backup in this pattern, so I was really proud of how we did because we've struggled in the past with having straight long backups. So we back all the way till our hip is even with this 2nd cone because the judge is parallel with this cone. So I make sure that he's there. I'll set him up right before we do our haunch turn so that he's balanced. And I was making sure again to go very slow and be precise and accurate with this pattern. So he does a very nice haunch turn. We walk up to the judge and I halt him and set him up. Now this setup was not our best setup, but it was accurate and it was very precise. And so because of that, I allowed for a little extra time than I usually would have taken on a setup. I acknowledged her and then moved into my 90-degree haunch turn. After that, we moved to the off side. So I switched sides, switched hands with my lead, and moved into a trot. So we had a trot L-shaped turn. And once we got even with the final cone, we halted, and I quickly set him up and then acknowledged to end my pattern. This is our trail pattern where we received 1st place and top score. So we started at the cone, and after being inspected by the judge for proper tack and equipment, we moved into our first maneuver, which was the gate. So this was a left-hand push rope gate. It was a very short gate, so thankfully Goose and I are both pretty short so that we could reach it easily. I back him up and maneuver him through it. He did an amazing job. He is a pro at gaits and he can pretty much do any kind, so I was really proud of us both for executing this maneuver well. So I back him up and check his feet to make sure I'm not hitting anything, and then I moved him over a little bit so I could reach down easier. Then I look ahead to my next maneuver because this is a jog off into the chute, so it's a very short jog. I jog to the end of the chute and halt, and we hadn't had a ton of time to practice before going into this fair week, so this was not our best backup, but I was really proud of us both for staying calm. And you can't really see well in this video, but these poles were very, very short poles, much shorter than usual, so the space for getting through these was probably around 2 to 2.5 feet, so it was a very short space. And typically our backups are one of our stronger maneuvers, but I hadn't, like I said, hadn't had a lot of time to practice, so we were kind of going on cold turkey and so we did hit a couple of poles. So right here he steps on that back pole, which was all a rider error, and then when I move his front feet over, he just clips that pole, so it wasn't anything major, but we could have cleaned that up just a little. So I back him up and I have to get a right lead, and the chute was not aligned with the next maneuver, which is the pinwheel, so I lifted up his right shoulder and popped his left hip in a little bit, and then maneuvered to the outside of the pinwheel. So we got a short stride on the first pole, and the rest of the poles were really beautiful. I was really happy with those. We come right into the box. He stops. He loves a good box stop, and he does it magnificently. I'm always happy with his box stops. So we move into a right 270 haunch turn, which he did perfectly. And we move into our next maneuver, which is a side pass to the mailbox. So there was a very small opening between the barrel and the pole. So we stopped there, and then we side passed over, making sure crossing over in the front and the back, which he did great. And I stopped a little too close to the mailbox, so it took me a minute to move the mailbox farther down than my saddle pad so that I can lift up the mail. So I presented that to the judge, and then I closed the mailbox and moved on to the next part of our pattern. So I flipped my reins back over and side passed left. So I made sure that he was forward and that we were right in the little opening so that he wouldn't hit anything with his feet. We're positioned perfectly for the trot overs, so I trotted him forward. He did those beautifully. The corner to the bridge was very, very small, so we made that tight and then kept a forward flowing movement over the bridge, which he loves a good bridge, so that was great. Then we stopped and acknowledged. This was our final class, which was our trail championship round, and we were both very tired in this class, so it was not our best pattern that we've done, but we had a little break over the cones, which was a rider error. I didn't quite set him up perfectly for those, and so he didn't have the right bend to be able to maneuver through those smoothly. So that's just a note for next time. We side passed left over the pole, and he did that perfectly, and we side passed into the little gap. Now, like I said earlier, with my regular trail round, I hadn't had a lot of time to practice backing maneuvers before we came into this fair week. So this backing maneuver is not our best back up, and that's okay. You know, there's always room for improvement. So through this backup, I got a little worried about when he side passed over, and so because of that, I should have just taken it and gone with it and backed him up, but instead I tried to keep positioning him, and so as you can see now we're a little off. So I finally just backed him up, and he did great, and he totally understood his job. So then once I backed up, I did a little forehand turn and positioned him for the next opening. And right here, I haunch turn him so that his back feet don't move, and I'm prepared directly for the back up, so I back him straight up, and I watch his front feet to make sure they don't hit anything. Then I halt him and move his back end around again so that he can finish the backing maneuver. He loves to back, and he's very precise with his backups, so I always enjoy a good backup performance with him. Then we do a right haunch turn, and it's a little under a 270-degree haunch turn, a little over a 180. Then we pick up a right lead, and we have a little loop we're performing. So he picks up a great right lead. It's very forward, very bouncy, and we look around this turn and move into our final maneuver, which is our halt, and we acknowledge. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you tune in on the next one. Bye!